We got our best indication yet that Caitlin Clark is on her way back toward a return for the Indiana Fever. Stephanie White did talk about Caitlin Clark, and I thought the comments were fairly telling. Here's what she had to say.
Caitlin, able to go through your little walkthrough or whatever you normally do, and what do you want to see ultimately to get comfort whenever the time comes?
Caitlin Clark just laced up for practice again, and the entire WNBA is in full-blown panic mode. After being sidelined for weeks with that nagging groin injury, the Fever's franchise star is back on the hardwood, and suddenly every headline, every fan, and every rival player is buzzing with the same question: is this comeback too soon, or exactly what Indiana needs to flip the script? One thing's undeniable: nobody in the league is ready for what's about to happen. And while Fever fans are celebrating, the jealous players who've spent all season taking cheap shots at Clark are sweating bullets. Do you think Clark should come back, or shut it down and fully recover for next season? Let us know down in the comments below. Let's go.
We went through our walkthrough yesterday. Today it was very short, prior to game time, but she went through it yesterday, and I want to see her in practice, live in practice. Want to see her continue to work to not just build endurance, but to be able to handle contact 94 feet as it's going to be in game, and to be able to do that and sustain from an endurance standpoint. And that's going to take multiple practices to make sure that there's no regression. And as most of us know, when we get fatigued, we look different, and see how she plays through fatigue.
Here's the reality: the second Clark stepped back onto the court, the whole ecosystem of the WNBA shifted. The league might pretend like it runs on parity, but everyone knows who drives the engine. Ticket sales, TV contracts, viral highlights. Clark's fingerprints are on all of it, even if she's not at 100% yet. Her presence instantly changes the math for both the Fever and the playoff picture. That's why you can practically hear Angel Ree, Aja Wilson, and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert gritting their teeth. Clark's return threatens the fragile narrative they've been trying to control since the day she entered the league.
You see Caitlin Clark, this video captured by Chloe Peterson at Shoot Around. You can see Caitlin doing some work right there, just warm-up work, back and forth on the court, but nonetheless on a basketball court. It's been a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark on a basketball court. Certainly a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark play basketball.
When she first went down, the noise across the WNBA was unanimous. Indiana's cooked. It wasn't just a couple of games missed. Clark was out nearly 2 months, the kind of absence that derails entire seasons. Meanwhile, the Fever were already gutted with injuries. Sophie Cunningham gone, Chloe Bibby sidelined, Sydney Colson and Ari McDonald shut down. What was left looked more like a patchwork scrimmage squad than a playoff contender. Without Clark's gravity pulling defenders and her jaw-dropping range opening up the floor, the Fever's offense turned into YMCA-level basketball. That's not disrespect, it's the truth. The rhythm was gone, and the results showed it.
Because if you look at the Fever injury list, it's just wild to see. It's like the Star Wars scroll at the end of one of those movies. It's just a endless list of players who have been out, in, back out of the lineup again, and really just a lineup that you could build if you were the Indiana Fever. You could roll out there if you were experimenting, depending on the situation and the nature of the game.
Fast forward to this week, and the panic button's been smashed into tiny pieces. Videos from practice hit the internet showing Clark back in uniform, shooting jumpers, jogging, feeding passes. She isn't cleared for full contact yet, but just seeing her in motion sent Fever fans into meltdown mode. Comment sections exploded with predictions, memes, and debates about when she'll finally suit up. Meanwhile, league executives were glued to their screens, biting their nails because they know what the fans know. The WNBA without Clark is just another league trying to get attention. With her back, everything is different.
And there was a little bit more footage here, and you see Caitlin involved on the floor yet again, even handling the ball, working with her teammates. I mean, that's an important sign there to see her working with her teammates.
Now comes the dilemma. Should she even return this season? The cautious voices say no, arguing her long-term health is worth more than any desperate playoff push. Groin injuries linger, and re-injury could be catastrophic. But then there's the other side. Fever fans, TV networks, and yes, the WNBA marketing department screaming that the season is meaningless without her. They're not thinking about 2026, they're thinking about ratings, sold-out arenas, and playoff drama this year. And let's be honest, Kathy Engelbert isn't losing sleep over Clark's long-term career. She just wants her golden ticket back on the court to rescue the league's bottom line.
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
But this debate isn't just about Clark's body, it's about the ripple effect her return creates. Imagine Clark suiting up against the Sparks in a must-win game. Overnight, Indiana's odds of clinching that final playoff seed skyrocket, while Los Angeles and Golden State are left scrambling. A healthy Clark doesn't just boost Indiana, she tilts the entire playoff race. And that's exactly why the so-called rivals who've been trash-talking while she's out are terrified. Angel Reese built her brand on pretending to rival Clark. Aja Wilson has made her jealousy public, and now all their cheap shots and shade mean nothing if Clark steps back in and dominates again.
Look like we may actually have some legitimate movement in the direction of Caitlin Clark coming back, and I will sort of look at the schedule with you guys and try to determine what game I think she might actually show back up in.
From Indiana's perspective, her absence has been a brutal reality check. Aaliyah Boston hasn't looked the same without Clark feeding her perfect entry passes and spacing the floor. Kelsey Mitchell has worked herself to exhaustion, carrying the offense, dropping 20 plus just to keep games competitive, yet still looking like it's wasted effort without Clark creating rhythm. That's why fans have been clinging to Mitchell's big nights like lifelines. It's desperation basketball, and everyone knows one player can erase that desperation: Caitlin Clark.
Against the Sparks, and this is a big game because the Sparks are right there with us on the playoff race, and they hold tiebreakers. By the way, so do the Valkyrie. All right, we do have one win. I believe it's one win over the Mercury, and then we've got a Sky team that we should beat, a Mystics team that we should beat, but you can't. I mean, who knows? I think they beat us in the last game. And then we close out the regular season with the Lynx. We're not making the playoffs without Caitlin Clark. There. Yeah, I said it. We're not making the playoffs without Caitlin Clark. I don't think.
And here's where it gets even juicier. Clark's return doesn't just revitalize Indiana's offense. It exposes every critic who's been running their mouths during her absence. Coaches like Cheryl Reeve, who's practically made a hobby out of dismissing Clark, suddenly have to prepare for her again. Players who thought they could pile on while she was sidelined now risk looking foolish when she comes back and buries them with a 30-foot logo 3. When Clark is on the court, the Fever are flat out dangerous. And that danger is why the entire league is panicking.
All right. And it's these two games that are the big pivot games. Sparks, Valkyries. That game right there, that Friday night game, I have a feeling that she might actually return for that game.
Let's not forget the referees either. These are the same officials who've let Clark get hacked, shoved, and even poked in the eye without protection. You think they're looking forward to her return? Not a chance. Every game with Clark back is going to be broadcast under a microscope, with fans ready to dissect every missed call and slow motion replay within seconds. The league knows it, the refs know it, and the fans know it. Clark's safety isn't just about protecting her career, it's about protecting the credibility of the league itself. But the most fascinating part of this whole saga is Clark's mindset. She's not wired to sit and watch. This is the same player who carried Iowa through March Madness slugfests. The same competitor who thrives when the pressure is suffocating. She's already restless watching her teammates cough up leads while she's on the bench. If she feels she can play, she's going to push to play. The only question is whether the Fever's medical staff or Engelbert's league office tries to stop her for their own interests. Because make no mistake, the WNBA wants her back, but only on their terms. Clark, though, has never played by anyone else's rules.
Not necessarily probably team practices, but being able to put together, threes, fours, and different things that we can go against and match up with.
Great follow-up question by Tony East there, because that's been a question that people have wondered, is there even enough practice time? And a nice distinction drawn by Stephanie White there, which is important, which means she needs to see Caitlin Clark in practice, but it doesn't have to necessarily be official team practice, meaning they will be able to replicate what a practice looks like.
It's honestly chaotic when you zoom out, and kind of hilarious if we're being blunt. Think about it. Other WNBA stars miss weeks at a time, and the only people who even flinch are diehards on their fan base's Reddit page. But Caitlin Clark so much as picks up a basketball in warm-ups, and suddenly the entire league shakes like an earthquake just hit. That's why saying the WNBA is in panic mode is an exaggeration. It's the straight-up reality. This product is completely dependent on her. And here's the kicker. If Clark comes back sharp, even at 80%, she could flip the playoff picture upside down overnight. If she doesn't, the Fever are basically toast, and the WNBA knows its spotlight fades fast without her on the floor. So let's break this down, starting with Indiana. Right now, the Fever are hanging on by the thinnest of playoff threads. They've been patching their rotation together with hardship players, rookies, and honestly, whoever they can grab off the street. It's so bad that if Indiana announced open tryouts tomorrow, no one would bat an eye. Without Clark orchestrating the offense, this team has been spinning its wheels, blowing leads, and handing away third quarters like they're free Costco samples. It's not basketball, it's survival mode.
They're not going to sit there with Caitlin Clark healthy and ramping up and just leave her there when they're in the playoffs if she's ready to go. They're going to figure that out on the fly, is how you take those comments. You also take them to mean that Caitlin Clark is back participating with the team, which we got a hint of on Sunday. They've been behind closed doors since then. You start to look at the schedule. I mean, I think at any point, it's getting more and more realistic. The more the Fever win without her, the more time is bought. Like, the ideal date may be that Chicago game on September 5th, and since it's at home and there's space between, but you can't totally rule out the road trip either, which still has the 29th, the 31st, and the 2nd.
Clark's return doesn't magically erase every problem, but it gives the Fever something they haven't had in weeks: a pulse. Her presence instantly transforms the dynamic. Defenses shift toward her, spacing opens up, and suddenly Aaliyah Boston doesn't have three bodies draped all over her every possession. Kelsey Mitchell can finally stop playing superhero for all 4 quarters, even if Clark isn't sprinting at full speed. Her gravitational pull alone makes Indiana dangerous again, and that right there is why rival teams are nervous. The Sparks, the Valkyries, even the Mystics, every team jockeying for those last playoff spots knows what's coming. They don't want Clark back on the floor, not now. Why? Because she doesn't do easing back in. This is the same rookie who came into the league casually pulling logo threes in her debut, like she'd been doing it for a decade. Clark doesn't jog into games, she storms in full throttle. If she's cleared to play, someone's about to get torched, and those bubble teams know it could be them.
Caitlin Clark is clearly ramping up, not being shut down. Now, there can always be a setback, but it seems like things are trending certainly in a positive direction. So for all the doom and gloom, and of course, I'm not sitting here telling you the Fever are winning the championship or anything, but it feels like their fight is being rewarded. That team is playing hard, they're playing well, people are coming in and playing well on the fly, and Caitlin Clark has healed up.
Meanwhile, the WNBA itself has been caught in a weird dilemma for the last month. They've had a break from the constant Caitlin Clark watch, no highlight reels dominating SportsCenter, no trending clips dissecting whether refs were protecting her, no endless debates on talk shows. The league coasted through a dull stretch where only hardcore fans paid attention. But now that she's inching toward a return, the spotlight slams back down. Every foul, every shove, every missed call is going viral again. That's not just inconvenient, it's the exact scrutiny Kathy Engelbert and the league office hate. They can't hide officiating incompetence when Clark is in the game because millions of eyes are glued to her every possession, and that's part of the panic too. Now let's zoom in on the playoff math. Without Clark, the Fever are basically clinging to life support. The Sparks' own key tiebreakers. The Valkyries are right there, breathing down their necks, and 1 or 2 more losses and Indiana's season evaporates. They cannot afford to split games anymore. They need a win streak, period. That's why her potential return has been circled like the Super Bowl. If Clark steps back against the Sparks, it's a do-or-die showdown. Lose that game, and Indiana might as well pack it up, win it, and suddenly the Fever are alive again, pushing back into the mix and making the league sweat. That's not just pressure, that's panic, because everyone knows the WNBA does not want its golden ticket watching the postseason from her couch.
I know a lot of you are like, why come back? Why come back? Well, look, if she's back and she can get in the flow and she does need to come back, I think with several games to go to get back and try to find her first rhythm for the year, really and truly, getting a good, then yeah, they become very dangerous with a big 3. And look, I'm using that term loosely because Aaliyah Boston has not been great lately. Big 2.5.
Let's be brutally honest, Clark's return is about way more than Indiana. It's about the WNBA's entire survival in the national spotlight. The league has been writing her name all season. Sold out arenas, massive rating spikes, top-selling jerseys, endless clips flooding social media, whether the shot goes in or clanks off the rim. If it's Caitlin Clark, it ends up in a highlight package. The WNBA knows it, the fans know it, and the sponsors know it. Without her, the playoffs look like business as usual. Liberty versus Lynx with the same tired storylines. With her, suddenly casual fans actually care. That's why Engelbert and the league office will be doing cartwheels if Clark is back in time to push Indiana into the postseason. And don't underestimate the fan base. Fever fans have been put through hell these last 2 months. They've watched their team cough up double-digit leads, look like a G League squad, and generally play uninspired basketball without their leader. They flooded comment sections begging for Clark's return, spamming memes about the team looking like Clark and the replacement players. The second those practice clips dropped, you'd think Indiana just won the lottery. Optimism surged like a tidal wave, and now every fan is asking the same thing. When does she officially suit up again?
She's healthy. It's just getting her back to where she needs to be from a basketball standpoint. But all in all, you know, even Chloe Bibby, Stephanie White said would be hopefully back at practice by the end of the week. All things considered, it's got to be the best day in Feverland in a long time.
Of course, the risk is obvious. What if she comes back too soon and looks rusty? Or worse, what if she tweaks that groin again? Groin injuries aren't like ankle sprains you can tape up and hope for the best. They linger, they flare up when you least expect them, and if she pushes too hard, too fast, she could lose another 2 months or more. That's the brutal gamble Indiana's medical staff is weighing right now. And the truth is, the Fever aren't winning a title this season. At best, they're sneaking into the playoffs as a lower seed. Is it worth risking Clark's long-term career for that? That's the behind-the-scenes debate management is quietly having. But here's the part they can't control: Caitlin Clark herself. She's not wired to sit quietly. This is the same woman who dragged Iowa through March Madness battles and carried a program to national relevance. She doesn't duck competition, she runs toward it. She thrives when the stakes are highest, and that's why the shut it down crowd probably doesn't stand a chance. If Clark feels she can contribute, she's going to push to play, and that's what makes her magnetic. Fans don't tune in to watch her coast. They tune in because she refuses to shy away from the fire. And just imagine the scenario. Clark returns against the Sparks, drops 20 points, and hits a clutch 3 in crunch time. The internet would absolutely detonate. SportsCenter would lead with it. Playoff odds would flip overnight, and the WNBA would suddenly have its dream storyline. And that right there is the nightmare scenario for her critics. The jealous players who've been subtweeting and talking trash, Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, and the rest, would instantly be back in Clark's shadow. They know it, the league knows it, and deep down, that's why everyone's in panic mode. And now that she's inching closer to a return, the WNBA is pretending to brace itself, but behind closed doors, they're panicking like never before. Do you think Clark should come back or shut it down and fully recover for next season? Let us know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.